Welcome back to Muscle Mommies. We are so honored to have you here. This is Nona.
And this is Autumn, and we're here with a special guest today.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Iddy or Ids. People know me as Dr. Ids. And yeah, I can't wait. I'm a muscle mummy for today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
He's
I love
officially
that.
a muscle mommy. We literally got so excited when you DM'd and you're like, you want to be on the podcast. Wait, you have a book that you published too recently, right?
No, it's due. So basically, I've done my draft, my second draft, and it's due for publication in January. New year, new me.
Wait, that's so
Oh my
exciting.
God.
Wait, what's your book about? I didn't know about this.
So yeah. So I haven't actually made it public to my audience, but a few of them know. It's on, basically the subhandle of the book is going to be about the real science behind diet myths, like common diet myths, right? So I cover inflammation, gut health, diet and mental health, popular diets, and how to sustainably lose weight. So these are all like the different chapters. So yeah, I have written it, it's finished. I'm just waiting for some final feedback. That's it.
I'm so excited.
That is so cool.
I'm gonna purchase that book as soon as it drops.
Me
Literally.
too.
Yes. So excited.
One
Yeah.
more time, can I hear your name one more time? I don't want to mess it up. I want to hear you say your name one more time. Dr. Ibs?
IDZ, IDZ, IDZ. Yeah.
Ibs.
So my real name, now that I've made it public, it wasn't public for like maybe the first year and a half of me doing social media, but I have now recently with my website. So my real name is Idris.
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 Yes,
What's
Idris.
your ethnicity?
So my parents were born in Pakistan. My mother has Syrian roots back several generations, and I was born in the UK. So I've got a little bit of a mix.
I love that.
Middle Eastern power.
Yes,
Let's
literally.
go.
We gravitated towards each other.
I'm Persian and she's
Armenian.
Yeah, Armenian.
Oh, wicked! Look at that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gang,
Yeah, I
gang,
love it.
riding strong.
Yeah.
Come on.
Love that. I love
the Middle East.
literally fitness and brown. We're like happy.
Proud.
I love that.
Honestly, we both of us have been such huge fans of your work because it's so rare to find like doctors that actually cover like fitness content. It's such it lacks research, honestly.
Yeah, it's just
and
not
it's sad.
prioritized, you know?
Yeah, so when we found your page and when we got close with you and have like now that we have you on our podcast, like it means so much to us.
No,
Support from the fitness community, the nutrition community, health community. It's been very nice, very welcoming, but also it comes with challenges, as you've probably seen. I get into quite a few back and forths with people, but obviously having positive energies around me, like yourselves, and obviously I see the amount of benefit that you guys are providing for the fitness community. It just shows that we're in a good space. And I think we are all making a very positive change.
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
As soon as Nona told me that you reached out and you wanted to be on the podcast, and we've talked about you on the podcast before. I don't know if you've ever. I mean, our episodes are long and there's a lot of them. We've been like. A lot of times when we talk about myths and we also talk about some of the topics that you talk about, we would bring up your TikTok and be like, he talks about it and he backs it up with research. So just for full circle, for it to come back around with you being on a podcast episode is so lovely. Like this couldn't have panned out any better.
Literally.
You could just ask me now. I'm here. It's fine.
True.
I love that.
Yes. Okay, so how did you first why did you do social media? Like what brought you or like what, dragged you into it?
Because
Or
creating
drawn.
and med are so different, right? Like you don't see a lot of like med students or doctors like going to being creators. So what's the draw for you?
I'll just say, first of all, your microphones are really not. They're so cool. It's just so cool how you just like holding the microphone like that. I love it. Anyway, it's just and it's a very good question. I think one of the main barriers for medical professionals to jump on social media that I've come across is, there's that fear and anxiety around people making complaints about you, about your practice, trying to insinuate that, you're just a paid shill for big pharma or big food, and, you're just like a government agent who's just, going to say whatever you've been paid to say. And
Right.
I think, because all it takes is some jealous, envious person to go and just complain to where you work, right? Like that can cause you weeks and weeks of stress for like literally no reason. So I think a lot of my colleagues have said, "Oh, I wish I had the courage. I wish I could also help with the information space online, but I just don't want anything bad to happen to me, right?" And I just think, it's really a shame because as long as you're evidence based and as long as you're not stating blatant opinion that's not like rooted in any kind of scientific evidence, which we do see a lot in the fitness space, right? Like people just make wild claims and there is literally nothing to back it up, like zero things, right? I think as long as you're rooted in evidence-based medical care and healthcare, then you're pretty safe. Like there's not much that can happen to you. And so I think, I was always hesitant to jump online, but I think COVID really gave me the push to get online simply because I used to, do a lot of personal training in the gyms around where I was studying. And I used to do a lot of private nutrition client work, like one-to-one consultations. And obviously, during the pandemic, that all had to stop because the gyms closed. People weren't able to come to my flat. We weren't allowed to mingle, go around to each other's houses. So I had two of my friends tell me, they said, "Oh, Iddy, like, why don't you just give the advice you were going to give in person? Why don't you just give that online? Like, why don't you just,
Right.
put it?" I was like, okay. I said, good, that's a good idea. So I started off actually in the fitness space myself. Like I started off posting, form videos, um, I used to annotate like the angles of my body and my tricep, and I used to do like random stuff like that. And I used to do like the odd kind of fitness humor, like gym humor video, just like dip my toes in the water, right? And then I realized that whenever I would mention something a bit more scientific or, biomechanics or how anatomy relates to your physiology, people would take an interest and ask questions in the comments. And then I was like, oh, is there actually like an education space on TikTok? I had no idea. Like I just thought TikTok was for funny memes and, like teenage girls dancing, right? Like I had no idea.
Right.
And then little did I know when I started talking more about health and more about, scientific literature, people would flood to the video and be like asking, "Oh, doctor, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that?" That's when I realized, okay, I need to tailor my content more towards information because people really want to know the information, right? And then that started January 1st, 2021. So it's been almost 2.5 years now. And then within the first year, I reached 1 million on New Year's Day. And I was like, oh, I was
Huge
like,
win.
whoa. I was like, I was only expecting maybe 50,000, 60,000. Little did I know, it just blew up like really quickly. So yeah, and now here we are today. I'm on the Muscle Mommies podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. And then what do you specialize in, like specifically?
Yeah, so basically during my medical degree in the UK, it's a little bit different to in the US. So the US you have like pre-med and then med, right? So you've got to do an undergraduate and then a graduate. Basically in the UK, we have it all combined one big long degree. So you don't do an undergrad, your medical degree will last anywhere from 5 to 7 years, depending on which one you're doing, right? And then during my medical degree, that's called the MBBS degree. It's called a Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery. So it's technically 2 degrees like squished into one. That I took time out in between my 4th and 5th years of medical school to do an extra master's degree in nutritional research, where I studied, kind of higher levels, research interpretation, managing lots of different types of data, conducting my own research study. And that's where my passion for, citing scientific research comes from. naturally. And then after I became a doctor a few years ago, I then became board certified in lifestyle medicine. So I would say my specialty is preventative medicine, lifestyle medicine with a focus on nutrition. So I have a lot of, private clients and patients who come to me with all sorts of issues with type 2 diabetes, fatty liver disease, obesity, even, mental health issues like anxiety, depression. And I've recently been touching with things like gastrointestinal issues like IBS, celiac disease. So basically, a lot of these chronic lifestyle diseases we see in the modern world today, heart disease, diabetes, fatty liver disease, I try my best to put together a management plan that involves, working with your medical professional, obviously for medication, but also working alongside, dietary changes, exercise integration, stress management, sleep hygiene. So all of these pillars of lifestyle medicine, basically.
I
So
love that.
Yeah.
I love that
Like
so much.
incredible
Yeah.
what you focus on and what you've accomplished. Maybe it's because it's so close to us as well in terms of our
Yeah.
passion, but like listening to your practices or your specialties, I think it's, in my opinion, one of the most valuable forms of medicine because it's preventative, right?
Yeah.
So it heals even before there's a problem. I think that's incredible.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's so underappreciated, I feel like recently, like in the past, like I think like literally since the pandemic, like people are like more aware of like, oh my god, like I should be taking care of me, like
Yeah.
life isn't just wake up, work, come back, and then shove a bunch of pills in my mouth and hope for the best. Like I actually have to work.
It's
to,
like be a healthy human.
yeah,
Yeah.
no,
So
it's that's really interesting. It really hit me when I was working in hospital. I was on a geriatrics ward, right? And geriatric wards, basically, they're full of patients who are over the age of 70, 75. And I kid you not, every day when I was doing the ward round, every single patient had 2 to 3 pages of medication, right?
Wow.
And they had 5, 6 chronic health conditions like COPD, heart failure, hypertension, diabetes. They've had a previous stroke or a previous heart attack. And in hospital, I felt like I wasn't actually fixing anything. I felt like I was just, they would come in with an exacerbation, breathing problems for their COPD, or they would come in because they've got a raging infection in their blood, right? They become septic, or they would come in because they've got a flare up of their, inflammatory bowel disease. So
mhm.
obviously, in order to stop them from dying, I would give them antibiotics, steroids, inhalers, increase their oxygen saturations, give them IV fluids, make sure that everything else is okay. But the issue is that they've already got these conditions and they're already very, very poorly. So even though I stopped them from becoming critically ill in the short term, when we discharge them out of hospital, the reality is that within the next 3 to 6 months, they're going to come back again with the same issue.
Yeah.
So, and that just became very demoralizing because I would be stopping, the acute illness, but I couldn't actually fix the chronic problems that they've got for the rest of their life, right? And those months that I worked on that ward, I just felt very kind of demotivated. I felt like I wasn't actually helping too much. Even though I was stopping death in the short term, I just knew that, most of these people would come back. And there's a really scary statistic that was kind of stated in my hospital trust, which was that of those patients that I would discharge from that ward, within 6 months, I think about 30, 40% of them would die. So
Whoa.
6 months of me having, treated them and letting them go out back into the care homes or wherever they were, a large proportion of them would die very, very quickly. And that's because, they're so frail, they can't handle becoming ill again. They've had so much that's happened to them, their breathing's already so poor now. So the point was that I just felt like this is not my calling. I don't want to just, stick band-aids on the problem. I don't just want to fix the acute problem. I want to actually work to prevent people from having these 5-6 conditions in the first place.
Mhm.
And that was when I really kind of shifted my focus, and that was a good almost 2 years ago now, when I worked in that department. Yeah, so I really like the fact that I've slowed down the amount I'm doing in my hospital now, and I'm more focusing on, educating the educators, lecturing around different universities, putting on seminars, educating fellow doctors, dietitians, nutritionists, coaches. Yeah, I want to kind of just spread the message of preventative lifestyle medicine and understand that there are limitations to it. You can't prevent everything. Even if you had the perfect diet, perfect exercise regime, the reality is that a lot of people will still get cancer, they'll still get heart disease, they'll still get diabetes, right? There are a lot of genetic things that we don't know about. And there are a lot of social environmental factors, like where you live, the pollution, your socioeconomic income, your occupation. There are a lot of factors outside of diet and lifestyle that, inform someone's health risk. But there is also a large percentage of these things that can be alleviated by helping people optimize their lifestyle, right?
Mhm.
So it's about educating, but without pushing the bar too far. Because I see a few people stating that, oh, all you need is a perfect, diet and exercise. And it's like, no, you can have the perfect lifestyle, but you will still get cancer. People will still fall ill. That's not how it
Right.
works. You can't prevent everything. And I think that's important to understand. Because it fuels that narrative that, if you've got cancer, you must have done something wrong.
Right.
You must have had too many takeaways, right? And it's just, that's a really poor way of looking at health. That's not how biology works. Mutations in cells happen every day, and all it takes is one mutation to replicate, and then you have two cells, and that's the start of a cancer, right?
Right.
So whilst we can increase or decrease the rates of these mutations, we can't stop all mutations, like, ever, right? So it's about finding that balance, educating, but also not making scary, fear-mongering claims as well.
Mhm.
Right.
So well said.
So well said. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And I think it's interesting how what you did or do currently on TikTok, like you are just now like a wisdom sharer. Like, and I think that is so impactful because like even beyond what you do, which is your actual practice, you magnify that with your reach on social media. So it's like the impact you would have with an already incredibly impactful job is like magnified to like such a degree that probably that's the kind of stuff that like as a creator you never really know what your impact is, but
Yeah.
it's like unmeasurable. Like, so it's so crazy because you already had such a heavily impactful job, and now the numbers and the content you're creating is gonna go beyond what you could ever probably have predicted initially pursuing this.
Mhm.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's a really, yes, fascinating point, because even though we'll never know, like, even between all of us, who's watching it and who's benefited from it and who's,
Mhm.
maybe advised their mother or father or brother based on
Mhm.
something you've said, right?
Exactly.
And it's like, even though I'm so blessed, like, I've had thousands of direct messages from people giving me their full, medical history and saying, you've helped me reduce my food anxiety, my health anxiety.
Wow.
You've helped me reduce my blood pressure, my type 2 diabetes markers. Like, even though I see like some direct like impacts, you're right that we can never know, who it's reaching, who it's helping. And that's why I try to emphasize educating the educators. So
Yes.
those who already educate, like yourselves, like other, even doctors, even other, dietitians, if I can help them put out more, evidence-based advice, then they're already impacting thousands of people as well. So it's like my thousands are impacting the other thousands, and then like you've just got branches coming off
It's
of
like
everyone, right?
exponential.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So that's
Beautiful.
the avenue I want to go down. And luckily, lots of various big podcasts and TV opportunities are coming my way. So hopefully I can stem more into the education space and less into the hospital space. That would be my true kind of passion, I feel.
Yes. And it's so beneficial.
to like everyone too, like especially for us. Like we love your content, and like also like beginners who are just like starting out. Like there's so much like just fluff in the fitness industry, and like a lot of misinformation, and like if you're a beginner, you're gonna like easily believe that. So the fact that like an actual doctor is like telling you things about the fitness community means a lot to like a lot of people.
Especially
you
since
guys,
it's like the lack of it.
you guys have a duty as well, because as you know, the fitness industry is rife with just misinformation, right?
Mhm.
Like even in the last 24 hours, I've been in a back and forth with Eddie, this Eddie guy, right? He was saying that fruits, don't consume fruit every day. Like it's bad for you. Literally, he said, having fruit every day will put body fat on you. It will it will mess up your liver, and it can induce insulin resistance, right?
I just don't
And
get it.
I was like, I responded, and then he made a 6-minute video on me just today. And I just responded literally 2 hours ago.
6 minutes is crazy.
Yeah, I was just like, this guy just anyway. But the point is
How are
that
you
people
gonna say
like,
fruits are bad?
yeah, right. But if you see his comment sections, they are completely, they're clueless. They're just
I was
clueless.
gonna say that you recognize how much there's a lack of knowledge when you fall into that side of the internet, and you realize how, like for example, we're surrounded by each other and like-minded people into fitness who have education in like health, nutrition. So to us, these things are common. But I will meet people. I had a conversation very recently too, where they were like, "Bread is bad for you because carbs are bad for you." And like and that just that argument doesn't work. I'm like, do you have a banana? Would you say a banana is bad for you? And they're like, no. I'm like, so you can't conclude carbs are bad.
Yeah.
Like that statement doesn't work. But you hear these things all the time. Like my parents grew up like that.
So when it comes to vitamins and minerals, and other things like that, because there are certain nutrients that can enhance the absorption of those vitamins and minerals, because you're not consuming them as food, you're consuming it as a extracted supplement from nature, right? You may not absorb what is on the back. But if you notice, a lot of these supplement companies, they give you 500 RDI, or they give you 500% of the daily amount, right? Because they're trying to combat that specific issue. So actually, even if you know that we're not getting all of, the iron from a supplement, they'll give you more than actually what you need in a day, because they know it's not very bioavailable, right? So, you've got different types: heme iron, non-heme iron. You've got vitamin D helping to absorb certain minerals, vitamin C helping to absorb, calcium interacting with other things. So like, you're right, there are lots of nutrients and micronutrients that will help absorb and actually help and also prevent absorption of certain other things. So there's lots of interactions that take place within our diet every day, all day, right? But a lot of these supplements will actually counteract for that, and they'll give you several times more than you need because of this issue, right? So you got fat soluble vitamins, for example, right? If you need to be consuming them with fats to get the optimal amount. But if you're giving them 500% of your daily amount, then chances are you're probably intaking quite a bit of it. So you shouldn't worry too much. But yeah, that's a very good point. And actually, when it comes to protein powders, the more processed, the better. When it comes to vitamins, minerals, fibers, stuff like that, other kind of supplements, even creatine, I'm not really sure how much of creatine we're ingesting, because naturally our body produces around 1 gram, 1,000 milligrams of creatine a day. If you're an anabolic user, or if you have lots and lots of muscle mass, you might produce 2 grams a day, maybe. But we produce 1 gram anyway. And then, from meat, we get some. From other animal products, we get some. So how much you're intaking from your pills, I have no idea. But what we do know is, the 3 to 5 gram range a day is effective, regardless of how much you absorb, right? Because
it works.
Yes, exactly. Because so hypothesizing, are we intaking all of it, doesn't make sense when you look at creatine and protein, because the outcome data is so strong anyway.
That makes sense. That makes
Do you get it?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you should only really hypothesize about these mechanisms when we don't have the strong outcome data.
Right, like those random supplements that we anecdotally with like
Yeah.
little research.
So a big one would be something like turkesterone,
Yes.
right? Like people say, oh, it builds muscle, and it's like, okay, we only have literally two small controlled trials, one saying no benefit, one saying benefit. So then you need to dive into the mechanisms and be like, okay, well, there is no real way in which turkesterone can bind to steroid receptors. So how is it actually increasing, MPS? How is it decreasing muscle protein breakdown? If we look at rodent trials, what is it doing in rats?
Right.
So these types of conversations can be had amongst scientists when you don't have the hard outcome data. But we know that there are a handful of supplements that are tested, proven, they work. Anyone can sell them. You don't have to feel bad about it, right?
Right.
And these are caffeine, creatine monohydrate, whey protein, and you might want to argue for things like,
Beta alanine.
yeah,
Beta alanine has a lot of-
yeah, it does, it does. And things like, for people like heavy endurance athletes who have the sachets of dextrose and like, glucose, like intra workout, post workout, there's a good amount of evidence showing that if you're, training for hours every day, then having that can reduce the time it takes to recover. Therefore, you're better. Yeah. So if you're the type to train more than 60 minutes every day, and let's say you want to do a second workout later in the day, then taking a quick absorbing digestible carbohydrate like a dextrose packet or like those glucose gels that you can buy, that has shown to be effective at reducing the time it takes for your body to recover. Outside of those situations, you could argue about what supplements are good, what supplements are bad, but we do know the 4 or 5 ones that are just undeniably robust and you can take and be fine, right?
Right.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Beautiful. You want to say?
Which ones do you take, by the way? You guys?
I only take protein powder and then pre-workout.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you?
And greens sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Protein, green, and I take hydration.
Okay.
So it'll have salts. It'll have
Okay.
like different kinds of micros, like almost like a Gatorade.
Yes, yes.
But Gatorade's
Yeah,
not a good example of it. I think Pedialyte may be better.
No. It is.
Okay.
Actually, I've done videos on this previously. Oral rehydration solutions are like one of the most successful medical interventions ever, like
Yeah.
ever in the history of medicine.
Wow.
Right? It's been estimated that
Dehydrated all the time, and they don't even know.
yeah,
Don't know it yet.
yeah. So it's been estimated that I think these solutions have like saved 70 million lives or something stupid.
Crazy. Wait, I like that.
Yeah.
I'm taking mental note of that quote. Next time I'm
Yeah.
post hydration, 70 million lives.
Yeah. Obviously, we're blessed to not be in countries where water pollution is a big thing, and we don't have bugs and viruses within the water supply that can give us really bad gastroenteritis, and then people die from dehydration, right? Because in those situations you need oral rehydration salts, right? But that's another example of a supplement that it actually is very effective, and post intense exercise you do need to replenish your salt somehow. So if you're not overly keen on salting up your chicken breast like there's no tomorrow, then you're going to need to do something else, aren't you? So yeah, that's completely fine. You
So,
are
like,
go on.
go ahead.
No, go on, you said.
Like liquid IV, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh wait, liquid, that's an American thing, right? A liquid IV.
Oh
Yeah, I think that's a good example.
Yeah, like
the little
hydration.
packet salts. Like
Yeah.
those,
Oh, okay.
Exactly what I think the hydration.
It just sounds like we have Diarrhea in the UK.
Yeah, probably very
Yeah.
similar.
Basically, it's when you're very dehydrated, you're ill, you're feeling lethargic, you got muscle cramps, and maybe you've got like some diarrhea, right?
Yeah.
You just take the basically sachet, you like swirl it in water.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
Perfect. You were saying I cut you off. Sorry.
No, I can't remember now. Something about.
Oh no, that was my fear.
I can't remember.
No, it'll come back. It'll come back.
I've got so
Okay.
much. I've got so much just garbage in my head from what I hear every day. I'm just like, I can't.
You're
I
meant to
can't.
be fighting
Yeah.
those trolls.
I'm debunking them in my head as we talk. Is it?
Oh, did it like? I mean, trolls they could get out of hand, but was there a point where you were like, I can't deal with it. Like it's too much for me until like you learned how to deal with it.
I would say in my earlier day, when I was probably, maybe 100,000 or less followers, and I started this process, I'm not kidding, but there were a couple of nights and a couple of periods of time where, I would have, perhaps bigger creators, like call me out or like respond to one of my videos or like get very kind of butthurt that I was, like disagreeing with them. And even though their arguments often made like zero to little sense, right? That doesn't matter because just the way social media works is that when you get a mob of just, cult followers on you, like all sense and logic goes out the window, right? They could be saying anything, but it does not matter. They will believe it, right? So I would remember, I would wake up and there were a couple of times when a bigger creator made a video on me and they were, like directly insulting me, like my appearance, like calling me names, like being, even like racist remarks as well from some of the followers. And I would just be looking through the comments and, I would have anxiety. I would struggle to sleep. I'd be like, oh, what do I do? Like I can't stop these hundreds of people that are coming here. And, I take that experience and I try my best, to people that perhaps may insult me verbally or they may call me names or be racist or whatever. I'm always mindful that even if I'm trying to correct blatantly wrong information, like potentially harmful things, right, that can affect people, I try to not directly insult them. I try to take their statements and just respond to them as an individual. I try to isolate their appearance from their statements, right? So you'll notice I will often never refer to them, their appearance or what they look like or their background or whatever, because I know what it feels like to be the bigger creator, right? To be the smaller guy getting shat on by big people, right?
Right.
So I've tried to kind of cultivate an environment where I use objective data and I don't speak from opinion, right?
Mhm.
Because of these experiences I had in the past, where I would really struggle and like have low points, like being like, oh, it's not worth it. I need to just go private and just like delete all my stuff or whatever. And I think now that I've gotten past that stage where I don't really care who calls me out because quite frankly, like in the debunking space, I'm probably the biggest person on TikTok. I don't think there are any other bigger people like that
Yeah.
actually like debunk, like medical harmful advice, right?
You're literally the first one.
Yeah, right. So like I've kind of carved that niche for myself. I don't really care too much. Like, Eddie makes a 6-minute video. Like I don't really care. Like
I think that's the timeline of
Yeah.
I went through, you went
Yeah.
right?
yeah, like I'm sure like you guys had similar things where I don't know if you've ever had, people like make video responses to you where they're being exceptionally mean or just like really just I can't even imagine how you two would ever get that because your content's so positive and it's just so like anyway, I don't
Thank you.
understand how people could do that for you. For me, it's a bit more understandable because nutrition has become almost like a religion. It's like it's very emotionally fueled, right? Like people view their dietary habits as being almost a part of their being. Like it's a part of their life. And if you disagree with their dietary habits, then it's almost like you're insulting them as a person,
Yes.
right? So the emotional response to food choices is so big right now. Like, it's huge. So I can see why people would respond negatively to me, even if I do try to remain positive. And, every now and then I will throw like a snarky comment, or like, if I feel like, yeah, as I should, like if I feel like they deserve it, and if I feel like they're actually giving out potentially harmful advice to people's health, right? Then I will do that. But in the back of my mind, I'm always trying to remember that if I woke up one day and saw that I responded to my video, I would be like, oh my gosh, like what do I do? Like, I don't
It's
know.
over. Class is dismissed.
I'm finished. Yeah. Social media is a scary, interesting, I don't know if even if I'd say beneficial, I'd say like it has challenges, but it also has positives. And I just think that how we navigate those challenges will better ourselves as a person, and it will better inform the content we make moving forward.
Yeah.
That's what I
Beautifully
think.
said.
Mm.
Perfect.
Let me just ask, tell me about an example where someone has been mean to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, there's been a few. There was like an era of. Here's the thing. I think when stitching got introduced, there was an era of stitch attacks, just because stitching as an effect would increase engagement, just like anytime new effects come in. Like voiceovers came in, everyone was doing voiceovers. So I think the stitch era was like nobody was safe. Like every morning I would wake up and check my phone and be like, I wonder if I got stitched today, and it would be the same concept of their following was very polite, and it would be anything they said goes, and it would be some kind of like a heated argument. One thing I remember specifically is I remember I posted a form video for horrible back spots, and I said one of the reasons, right? And I was really careful with my wording because I was so many these things. I said one of the reasons you might experience like lower back pain could be a specific example for the form, and I was talking about like hips rising before your chest, because it would make it's not like it's breaking your back, but it puts more load on your back, and that's not what the main muscle group is. So if your lower back is not, you're gonna feel pain. And I got stitched from a guy who has a full following that preaches form doesn't matter, right? And that like you will not harm yourself, technically speaking, in any form. So when people say form is important, it's BS. So I was just getting like berated, right? Like, and he was very formal and normal with his response, which is like, this girl is completely incorrect. But his followers, like, stupid women, like, don't know anything that they're saying, go to the gym for 2 days, do squats. And it was like full in my comments. And the thing is like, his argument, I even said this in my comments, but at that point, it's like, I think paired with me being a woman and his fan base being entirely male, it was like, my comments were full of like, stupid female, etc. And his argument is valid. Like, it makes sense. It's almost like if I can bend my spine right now and I want it, I won't hurt it if I bend it with 0.5 pounds. And in theory, you could go up to a really large weight. But the problem with that is, should I be telling beginners that who don't know how to build a load up to that? Like, in theory, he's right, and I get his argument. But when you're speaking to the average group of people, if you don't introduce them to form, they're not going to know how to properly manage a load to 225 pounds to be able to bend their spine. You know, so it was such a hard thing to face, because I was like, I agree with that. Like, in theory, he's correct, but then it's like, what I'm saying is not wrong. And it was just full of like, you're stupid, you're a woman, etc.
You know what I call these guys? I call them the biomechanic bros. It's just like it's just so funny that it's like, yes, and I've had discussions, and I think I might know who you're talking about. I'm friends with a few of them, and they do actually like message me for a bit of advice sometimes. But basically, the thing that's funny with that thing is like, yes, technically speaking, the spine can adapt to whatever movement you give it, right? But as you rightly said, a beginner in the gym is not going to know that, oh, okay, if I want to continue doing a type of deadlift, or like a squat, right, in a specific way, I need to then, implement that at 10 pounds, do it for 2 weeks, and then do 20 pounds for 2 weeks, and then 30 pounds. Yes, people.
I trust them to build load on their spine? That doesn't make sense, you know?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. People, especially beginners, like, and people who aren't experienced gym athletes, you know, there's a big era of ego lifting, isn't it? It's like, let me just see what I can lift. So you've already alienated that whole demographic because you're assuming they're sensible enough to do things in slow, like progressive stepwise steps,
Like
and they're not.
never.
Yeah, they're not. So just ignore the biomechanic bros. It's fine. It's-
That's what we're gonna call them from now on. Biomechanical bros. That is so funny.
They're like,
Yeah.
I imagine they're like walking around like robots. Like, this is
Literally.
optimal.
Optimal. It's like being kids to someone who's like a biomechanical bro.
Literally. Literally. Oh my
And you,
god.
Nona, tell me about yours.
Okay, honestly, I don't get a lot of hate nowadays, but when I first started, that's when I was like that's when I was very like informative, educational, posted a lot of like explanations, workouts and stuff like that. That's when I always got bashed, like stuff. Yeah, it was a tough time.
Was there one time where you were like, F my life, I can't deal with this, like, just forget it now?
Yeah, and then that's why I stopped posting educational stuff. That's why I post cooking videos. They traumatized me. I'm like, F you guys. I'm just going to YouTube for that.
Yeah, no, good. Yeah, good move. But yeah, don't
Yeah.
worry. If one of these bros or gals comes to you, just send them my way. It's fine.
I will.
I'll deal with them.
Dr. Is backs me up.
Yeah.
We just need a clip of him saying muscle mommy certified. So after they gave us, I just share that clip.
Like say what now? Literally. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, I think
And then we'll let you go because I know it's late over there and you're sleepy.
yeah, so 2 quick questions. We could just do it really
Yep.
quick to close it off. One question, the supplement we wanted your opinion on, real quickly. Do you think it's beneficial if there's enough research on it? Alpha GPC. It's gaining popularity. Have you looked into it at all? I haven't.
No, I haven't. Yeah, I haven't. People have. I've literally gotten direct messages in my Instagram DMs about this as well.
Right now.
And I'm like, if I do see, like a really viral video going off or whatever, then I might look into it. But generally speaking, my philosophy on the supplement space is like, most of them are doing minimal to small like benefits. So I don't want to spend too much of my time talking about supplements, like just generally speaking, apart from unless I'm doing like a paid review for a supplement company or something, right? That's completely fine. But yeah, I haven't. So to be honest, I'm not gonna. And this is the one thing that a lot of fitness people should take note of.
I know what he's about to say. Just claim ignorance, like I don't know, and that's fine.
If you don't just make up things. It's okay. It's okay to not know some things. It's fine, right? Like
and
I haven't looked.
Listening. This is a doctor saying that.
Yeah.
Saying I don't know, and people aren't doctors, aren't specialists, and are too scared to just be like, I don't know.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
But yeah, now that you said that, I might go and look into it at some point. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so much, doctor. We are so happy that you're here and you spent so much time, and I know it's late and you're tired, so it means a lot to us.
We're so grateful.
And our muscle mommy community. Yeah, we're so grateful for this episode to go live, and I'm so excited for your book to be like published and released.
Yes.
I will literally be the first person to buy it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure everyone knows you, but if you want to like use this last minute like link like usernames, maybe where they can find you, and if you have something to share about like information, this is your first launch right? But just so people know how to find more information about your book so they can purchase the book.
Sure. Yeah, so I go by Dr. Ids on pretty much also, well, my main platforms are my TikTok and my Instagram. I've just started Facebook recently, so I'm getting a few followers on there. It's all Dr. _IDZ.
Perfect. And we'll list it over here.
Yes, amazing. And yeah, just if you're interested in more kind of, scientific breakdowns of the common nutrition and health claims that are circulating, then please feel free to check out my videos. If you're a professional like coach or nutritionist or very active in the scientific space, then I do have an online subscription platform where I post super in-depth, like higher level stuff that's not appropriate for social media. And they're like professionally recorded. So that's something that, other doctors, healthcare professionals, coaches, fitness enthusiasts, anyone that's into proper health, right? So yeah, feel free to check all of that out.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure, and I was been excited to come on here and just, you know why? Also because both of your vibes are just so positive,
Oh,
and they are so just, it's an energy that I like to surround myself with.
thank
And
you.
I don't get a lot of that in the space that I'm in, obviously being so combative and being, having to refute people all the time. So I was looking forward to just having a more light-hearted, just, this is probably the podcast in which I've smiled the most, right?
Oh,
So
I love
like
that.
so thank you. It's been very, very nice, and I hope it benefits even one person.
oh, likewise, likewise, and it will, it will.
Give us one class dismiss before we go.
Yeah.
you need that.
This is how we're gonna end it. You just say class dismissed.
Okay. Final point is don't believe everything you hear online, and class dismissed.
It's so much. Thank you.